What's going on, guys? My name is Ty, and I have Gabby here with me, and we are Weddings Made Perfect podcast. So we are here doing our podcast thing. If you want to email us, just email us at weddingsmadeperfectpodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on Instagram or Facebook and any other social medias. I don't even know anymore. We're just everywhere. I'm sure just type in Google and pop up and boom, just do your things and actions and whatnot. But yeah, guys, we were very excited to be back again, like I have expressed multiple times. I cannot express the awesome support that we do have and the views that we have seen. If you guys haven't seen it yet, we did post a new video and audio Monday, so that was 2 days ago. We posted it. We were back. Cool stuff. Kind of like a new format of what we're going to be doing. So if you have any suggestions or anything like that, just contact us on any social media platform that we're on, or you can email us at weddingsmadeperfectpodcast@gmail.com. We still would love to do that koozie thing with a bowl and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. We would love for that to do that. If you are new and have no idea what I'm talking about, several episodes ago, we came up with a suggestion of if you guys are getting married and you guys are doing koozies with your guys' names and stuff like that, we would want you to send one to us. I'm going to put it in a little jar just to showcase it. But then eventually, once we start getting a little more sponsors and a couple other things as well, we want to start drawing names out of it and actually give you guys something. So that's just kind of a cool little raffle thingy-ish idea that we want to do. And so it's pretty cool. But before I get any more spiel, we have an awesome sponsor by the amazing Gabby.
Thank you, Ty.
You're welcome.
Well, Weddings Made Perfect podcast is sponsored by ND Events LLC. ND Events is a St. Louis-based events company that specializes in photography, videography, DJ, and photo booth services, as well as officiant and event planning and coordination services. You can find ND Events at ndevents.com. That's ENDY events.com. Or you can find them on Facebook and Instagram at ND Events.
So yeah, definitely go check them out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this episode we have declared after the last episode that we did, we wanted to deep dive more into event of it, but it is the day of coordinator versus partial full planner. Gabby will definitely go more in depth on that. But before we do, I have to ask. So this morning, I went on Facebook, which I normally don't go on Facebook as much anymore, but I was scrolling through Facebook and I stumbled across this photo of you and Garrett back in 2017. Mm-hmm. And apparently people thought that you guys were engaged about 1 month into your relationship or something like that.
So Garrett and I met at a restaurant that we worked at in our college town. So we worked with it was one of the most popular restaurants there, and pretty much all staffed by college kids. So there were about probably 30 to 40 relatively young people on the staff. Well, we met through the restaurant and started dating through the restaurant. So we started dating about April, May, June-ish, around there. We're still not totally sure. But this day, 4 years ago, we went out to a club and we had a picture taken where his arm is wrapped around me like this and I am holding his arm like this. And I have this big, fake ring on my middle finger.
Yes, I saw that.
Middle finger. However, it quickly spiraled from everybody from the restaurant commenting that we were engaged, and then they started planning our wedding on Facebook, even though, obviously people could tell it was not real, but they were just no, this is real. This is happening. And it spiraled out of control. There were probably about 100 comments on there congratulating us, naming our first child. It was embarrassing and hilarious at the same time.
Yeah, I saw that immediately. It dawned on me because I was just it reminded me of me and Sarah. Our best friends just curated their own wedding, business photography, and they needed models. They didn't have anybody. Their models canceled on them. So we decided to do it. And so I had to dress up as a groom and she had to dress up as a bride, but we were actually in she was in a dress and I was in a suit.
Yeah.
And
so it looked real.
Immediately people start like freaking out. And we had parents, we had our like families, like literally messaging us, like yelling at us, going, "You guys got married without us. Like, you better not. This is not like." People were getting very upset.
That's mean.
Very upset. So like, I've seen it. I just immediately like it just like flashback on that. I'm just like, we had a moment, but it was just like I was just a little bit more like actual legitimate. Like we were taking photos, but. Man. It was. I just immediately saw that. I was just like, yeah, that reminds me, because it was actually roughly around the time that photo for you guys were taken. It was like not that year. It was in 2018 though, but we still did it, and I was just like, oh god,
that's so funny and mean and funny.
But yes, to kind of go into our episode, do you have a awesome tip for us?
I do. This tip is probably one of the most important tips I've ever given. This tip is to read each of your vendor contracts carefully, to make sure that if any information is incorrect, you got a date or a time incorrect. Say you're booking with a DJ and you tell them that your reception starts at 5:30 when it actually starts at 6:30. Well, that's going to be one less hour that you get at the end where you actually want music than where you actually need it. This can, like, you could also maybe find hidden fees in there. They could charge you an additional setup fee that you hadn't originally talked about because it's not included in the package that you booked. It's just really important because so many miscommunications can be solved by just taking the time to really thoroughly read through each of your contracts. They shouldn't be 7 pages long. It should be enough that you can just take the time to read through them, even now making sure that they have, relevant updated policies on, crises that could possibly happen. I mean, we've seen it in the last couple years. So just making sure that you are thoroughly reading through those contracts can save you a lot of time and trouble.
So besides like COVID and like global pandemic situations, how often does this actually happen? For like a couple misreading, or like how often does it happen where they misinterpret something from the vendors?
Yeah. So it depends on the vendor itself. I know that as a salesperson for ND Events, we are very upfront with the pricing in our packages, and we have like almost in the nicest way possible, foolproof contracts that label out each individual like piece of information that we need. So it's really hard, but it has happened that we have had an incorrect date. We've had somebody put down 21 instead of 2022, which is that's like a major point. We've had, incorrect times to start. So it happens. You'd think, oh no, like it's a contract, like, it should be completely accurate. Well, I mean, we're humans too. We're writing each of these contracts as you send them in. Some information is, put, but your specific information, we need that to be as accurate as possible, and we make mistakes. So just take the time to read them. I mean, it happens. So
I guess what is the actual difference between like the day of like coordinator and like a partial full planner?
Yeah, this is a big tip. Something that a lot of people, I think, don't understand. When they just hear wedding planner, I think their head goes straight to somebody that's going to take each individual step with you, hold your hand, help you through it. But I mean, there are several different types of coordinators. And so the difference between a day of coordinator and a partial/full coordinator is that a day of coordinator is not going to hold your hand every step of the way. They're not going to do much, actually, until about a month out from your wedding. This is when they're going to come in and find out everything that you've booked up to this point. And they're going to take control of like putting together your timeline, talking with your vendors, and then making sure that your day runs as smoothly as possible with the details you've already planned. Now, a full, partial to full planner, they're going to help you through the steps. They're going to hold your hand. They're going to have suggestions. They're going to go with you to each individual appointment to make sure that you're getting exactly what you want. They're going to touch on your budget, all of these things. So that's kind of just like a glance at both. But diving a little more deep into day of coordination, this is what I actually did a couple times earlier this year. One wedding went very well, and one wedding was a disaster, to say the least. Ty was there, luckily, so he can vouch for that.
Yes. I was on the actual video side, and just for the video side alone, it was already chaotic, but I couldn't even imagine what you went through, which I did see it in person. But just to kind of like a side note, I'm kind of going to be sitting on the passenger side for this episode because this is Gabby's wheelhouse. This is what she does on a day-to-day basis, almost not 24/7, but pretty much this is what she's going for. So she knows more knowledge on this because already I didn't really know the difference between a coordinator and planner. I thought they kind of did the same things. I mean, I know a coordinator, they are pretty much throughout the day, and the planner is kind of like before. But I got the gist of that. But like, I didn't know like those could be two different actual people. I thought they were the same people where they were planning, and then when it goes to the actual day, they become the coordinator of that day.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that like they're actually like two actual roles.
Yeah. And but I mean, I'm sure you can tell already, but the pricing on these two different people are drastically different because obviously if you are handling all the business up into about a month out, you just need somebody to make sure that, you know, they're looking over your day. You're not going to want to pay them thousands of dollars, and you shouldn't be paying them thousands of dollars. They're not worth that. But you know, a partial to full planner, they're probably going to be working on an hourly rate, and that's going to add up quickly. So it's definitely something to, I mean, you have to check your budget if you can afford a partial to full planner because, I mean, it really truly does add up. But diving a little deeper here, for day of coordinator. So I'm going to run through some of the tasks that they do and then just kind of provide you with some examples of actually what I did. So the first note here as a day of coordinator, they are going to have a limited number of in-person contact hours prior to your wedding. So what I mean by this is on our particular package, what I do, we offer up to 10 hours of in-person. So this is really good for if you have like a walkthrough of your venue that you're doing about, 3 months out from your wedding. I could go with you and we could kind of talk about what it's going to look like when your reception is set up, your ceremony is set up. So kind of where the chairs are going to go, where you're wanting the DJ to be set up, where you're wanting all the tables to be set up, just a little hint at what your centerpieces and such are going to look like. That can be really helpful. If you're really struggling with finding a certain vendor, like you're just like, man, I just do not know about these DJs. I have so many options. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Well, I can help you with that particular one if that counts towards your 10 in-person hours. But other than that, it doesn't go much further as far as in-person contact. We do unlimited phone calls and emails. So I can offer as many suggestions as well for you if you're looking, if you're like, I'm between these two photographers, let me send you over the information. Do you know either of them? Or I have no idea about a cake. Do you have any suggestions? And likely your day of coordinator should have a preferred vendor list. So they'll have just several people that they've worked with in the industry. And that can be really great because hopefully they're not going to be sending you to somebody that they don't trust or haven't worked with. You know what I mean? Like you're going to know that you're in good hands with those people. And also, they're not going to send you to somebody if that can come back on them as, a terrible suggestion. If your cake goes to, is a disaster, they're going to say, hey, what the heck? Like you told me to go to this guy and he did a really bad job. So that can be really helpful as well. So, if you need advice we're here for you. You know, we're not leaving you in the dark until your wedding day. It's just very limited on what we do up to your particular day. Another thing that we do is small decor additions, not full decorations. So what I mean by this is if you have, say, your Flower Girls bouquets, baskets, you have a guest list booklet, you have, little signs that say guest book and signs that say gifts here, etc. These little pieces, you can give me a box full of that stuff and I will put it out where you'd like. However, I'm not going to be hanging drapery for you. I'm not going to be wrapping florals, wrapping your chairs, every single chair in linens. I'm not going to be folding your napkins. So, we have, there are tons of things that you're going to need on that day, like, freshening up your makeup. I always suggest that. So there's lots of little things that I'll help you with, but just know that a line has to be drawn as to how much we'll be able to do and how much we will do for you as far as decorations go. Another note is we can help you with your timeline creation. So if you haven't already pretty much nailed down what it's going to look like moving from, what time your ceremony starts, what time your reception starts, those times should probably be already decided before you come to a day of coordinator. But things like what time you should start getting ready. So like your hair and makeup arrives at 11 and then, that should go for about an hour and a half and you should have your dress on in that last 30 minutes. Well, your photographer better be there at 11 as well. So I'll make sure that the photographer is going to be there at 11. And then we need to know, we know that there's going to be 30 minutes between going from mom's house over to the ceremony. Well, we need to build in about 45 minutes because I can tell you right now, you're already going to be running behind schedule. It just happens, especially if you've got, your ladies at one house, the guys are at the hotel. You got to make sure that both parties meet up at the same place at the same time. These are really important details that I'll get to later of whether or not, if you're on the fence about getting a day of coordinator, these are things that you might not think about. You have all your vendors put, but those timelines, keeping on schedule, that can be really, really tough.
Yeah, and that's honestly crucial out of pretty much, the getting your vendors and getting everything is like crucial as well, but personally a timeline in general of the day being created like that it's like pretty much number one importance. Unlike to me personally, I know having your like a venue for like your ceremony or reception and like all the other like minor things like the dress and the suits and all that. I get that every single detail is important, but actually creating a timeline with somebody that actually knows how to do this is crucial in my mind, because it's like most people that are getting engaged, that are getting married, have no clue or idea how to even plan a wedding.
Yep.
So having someone that could tell you like kind of straightforward too of like, hey, this needs to be done at this time, then this time, and then like when we started the ceremony starts at 2, but the reception starts at 6. So from 3 to 5, you could go to different locations and get some shots or whatever like that. Like, you need to have everything kind of like set from the tee of like from 7 a.m. till 11:30 when you're doing your last actual whatever it is for the reception, and you're calling it a done day. So a timeline is very crucial. Yeah,
because you can have your DJ starting at 5:30, but if you're late, you're going to throw your entire day off, the entire day, just by, taking 30 extra minutes to get ready in the morning. It's crazy. And I can say from experience, 2 out of 2 weddings, both were running far behind on schedule. I had a driver almost leave on me on the one that went well, so that was fun. I did have a driver leave on me at the end of the night, which was also fun. But, we take care of it bit by bit. Luckily, the bride was more than amazing. She was so understanding, and, every wedding day, something goes wrong. Luckily, it was the last thing that was unimportant, so that was fine.
Like I said, we're trying to make your wedding perfect, but at the same time, it will not be
never
perfect.
Be perfect. So. It will never be perfect.
Just letting you know.
Yes. So that touched on keeping on schedule as well. Super, super important. Another good thing that we do throughout the day, such as, line up for your walk down the aisle, making sure that you have a smooth rotation from your ceremony into your reception, especially if you have like a cocktail hour. Guests can be kind of slow sometimes in the nicest way possible. It's good to have somebody there to kind of direct them where to go. They don't always like to listen. They don't always like to stay where they're supposed to stay. So it's nice to have kind of a firm hand that maybe is not related to the family. It's okay if they get butthurt at me. I don't care. You're really not supposed to be walking away right now. Please come back over this way. Or, hey, it's time to take your seat now. Things are getting started. I had at both weddings people that would not sit down even though it was time to sit down. Another thing that can put your schedule behind. It's these little things that you just don't think about.
And I know this sounds tedious and whatnot, but like you got to understand that if you've never done this before, like a profession, and your entire family has no idea about weddings besides maybe like one or two weddings that they've gone through their entire life, and if they only been just guest and never been like a worker or like a vendor or anybody that does something or like a service of some sort for weddings, these are just super crucial on having somebody just there, making sure that everything is being moved forward. Because if you don't have anybody there or even a family member, like let's say you can't afford this and you do, like let's say you have an aunt or an uncle or like a sister or a brother or whoever just in your party that's able to have that stern leadership of like not like, I'm not saying like we're yelling at you like drill sergeants or anything, but just definitely just moving things forward of like, hey, ceremony starts at 2:00. Everybody needs to line up at like 1:45. It's like, it's 15 minutes to get everybody all here and then all lined up ready to go to line properly in order for the ceremonies or just whatever it is. Like it could be anything. And it's just having just that minor touch of the day makes it just run a little bit more smoothly. Because like you got to think not only you have people that you're trying to corral and stuff like that, but like you also have people drinking that's involved.
I was going to say
more people doing things whatever like that, or like once you have drinking that's involved with the actual day, you have a lot of people that just don't care, or they just are not thinking straight, or just not like doing whatever. So you just need somebody that's not a babysitter, but just having somebody just to kind of like move things forward and just kind of go through the day like that.
Yeah.
So
I like to note as well, you may have 30 friends. They don't all need to be in your bridal party. I'm telling you right now, more than 6 people on both sides is too many people. Trying to get 14 people in a line together to listen, especially if they've been on a party bus all day drinking, it's really, really challenging, especially if they don't want to listen, if they don't care. That was a bit of the disaster wedding that we had as well. But just think about it. I know for some reason there's a trend to put as many people on each side of you as possible, but it really, really makes things hard. And the drama, the problems that come up, it's not worth it, I promise.
So Sarah and I actually maxed out at 6. So like we kind of like an update of like what we're going through. Like once again, if you missed the other episode, Sarah and I, which was my girlfriend now, my fiance, which is weird to say. I'm so like fathomed by saying that, but we another step that we kind of did, besides of course like getting through all information, we finally like locked down our wedding party, and we absolutely have 6, like meaning like there's 6 important people that we wanted to stand up. And it's like, yeah, we have sorry, my like chest like decided to hurt. We decided to like, we have 6 people that are like super important in our life that we want just up there. And also it's like, I don't really have much friends. So like I've lost a lot of them after high school, because just I wanted to be a filmmaker so bad. I just kind of worked and stopped hanging out with people.
Yeah.
But there's at least 2 of them that like stuck on my side. So it's like, of course, I have a younger brother. So my brother is my best man. But then I have Sarah's brother that's going to be next in line. And then Sarah's sister has, of course, a husband. So brother, like in law for her,
Sure.
but also I guess for me too now. So he's next. But so then after that, it gives me 3 people that were important in my life.
Yeah.
So it gives me a chance to be able to, you know, after kind of going, okay, my brothers, of course, ended, but then them 2, of course, ended because another family. Now I have 3 people, which honestly, I only have like 3 people.
I was going to say
that like, I'm just like, you know, because there was one moment where the reason why I'm saying this is because we had one moment where we were planning on doing 7. And the reason why is because one of her friends was like a dear friend to her, but then she's starting to realize, like even today, like she brought it up again, going like, the things that are very important to me, she hasn't even like contacted her saying like, you know, personally going like, congratulations.
Right.
Or like even during the engagement, like she liked the post or whatever, but like she didn't fully like reach out and be like, hey, I miss you so much.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And
Absolutely.
like, it's not like we're not being assholes about it.
No.
It's just more like, obviously they've grown up. They kind of are doing their own things and they kind of like moved on.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those things where it's like they will get an invite and they'll still be a part of the wedding, like meaning like being a guest or whatever.
Yeah.
And we'll love to have her come. But it's one of those moments where it's like you need to start kind of cutting it up. And that's what my whole point of this is like, I understand sometimes going to college, you're going to be like in a fraternity or sorority and you want to have all your brothers and sisters, you know, brother frats and sisters, whatever, being a part of the whole wedding. And that's like really popular.
Yeah. It's all for looks, in my opinion.
At the same time, though, you don't need 14 people on each side.
Yeah, no.
It's not a thing. Like you don't need it because I've seen it before where they've had like 5 people stand with them, but then they have a whole table with their whole like fraternity, sorority, like Delta, whatever. Like they had their own table. So that made sense.
Yeah.
They all invited them in and they still were a part of it and stuff
guests,
like that.
as guests.
Like, yeah, and they had their own little like mini head table because they literally was like 15 on each side.
Yeah.
It was insane. And I'm just like, all right, whatever. But then I've also seen it where there's 14 bridesmaids and 14 groomsmen.
It's ridiculous.
So to each to his own, like you do what you want to do. If you want to have like a huge thing, that's fine. But you got to understand though, like, you gotta like put yourself in the situation of like a photographer or like a videographer or like people that you have to plan and also people's budgets and stuff like that. Like I have 2 people that are in my wedding party that they have families. They have, you know, kids and they have like situations and stuff like that. But then I have like my brother who is still in college that just turned 21 today. Like, and then happy birthday, Ethan. And then I have like, you know, somebody like me where they're just kind of going with emotion with filmmaking. And then I have somebody that just recently got out of a relationship. So he's not focusing on that like anymore. Like I have literally like different situations. What I'm trying to say though, is like, you want to make sure that what you're planning out and who you're actually wanting to be there kind of realize what their potential budget could be as well. So if you are getting the top of the line Vera Wang or Joseph Abboud tuxedo or this nice, beautiful like dress or bridesmaid dress for them, most of the time they have to pay that out of their own pockets. And it's
bachelorette parties and bachelor parties, they can add up to $1,000 depending on what you want to do. If you're traveling, say goodbye to 500 at least. It's
not cheap at all. Like, and that's the problem is like, you need to understand that some people may not have that money or whatever. And I'm not saying like just because they don't have money, they have to get kicked out. Like you have to just understand because like what I'm doing is like whatever suit that I want them to wear or like whatever it is, I'm going to make sure that I pay majority of it, if not all of it.
That's how I feel.
To like, because like, it's an honor for them to stand up with me.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel obligated to help out them
Absolutely.
to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And then they could just, reimburse or comp the whole, like, just like a gift or something,
Yeah.
or like whatever. Like but also at the same time though, I'm not really asking them for much, because the thing is like, they are very important in my life. I want to be like, hey, you mean a lot to me. I want you to be a part of this. Not only be a part of it, but like, I'm going to help you out with X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So it's just like, that's how I feel. And that's how you should be looking at it. It's not like, I want you to be a part of my wedding. Oh, by the way, I need you to get this $500 suit. Also, we're doing it in Vegas, so you need to buy your own plane tickets and your own hotels. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, you can bring your family too. So that's an additional, not just your ticket, but your kids' tickets, your wife or husband, or boyfriend, girlfriend, or like whatever, coming in with you, plus hotels, plus taking time off of your job. And so it's like everything is just adding up. And people don't have that.
Yeah.
So all I'm asking is just like, make sure you're at least realizing who you're asking, who are invited, and also not only picture your budget, but also picture their budget. So even if it is, because I've worked at Men's Warehouse, and I know I've seen it happen before, where if you are renting suits, let's say you're getting a very wedding suit, it's going to be around $250. So why don't you just take $100 off on each person? So if you have 5 people a part of your wedding, save up, give Men's Warehouse $500, be like, hey, put $100 each. So that's how, instead of them having to spend $250, they only have now spent $150. Mm-hmm. And so it's giving them $100 off, and which is going to help them out even more, because at the end of the day, they're still going to be on top of that and try to give you more for a wedding gift or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say 250 is probably a solid ask. I would think that that's in reasonable, reasonable price. However, just make sure that you give them make sure that you give them time. Like, don't say, hey, this is a deadline by next month. I need you to be out of pocket $250. No, say, hey, listen, guys, we just got engaged. I've already kind of looked through some stuff. I need this particular suit. I don't have a lot of money, but this is what we're looking for. If you can't make it work, let me know, but we need this by next June. Like, you have a whole year to save, $20 every month to make it work.
Yeah. I mean, which it does make sense, because I don't know for girls for like dresses, but for guys though, I do know, because once again, I have the experience of that, is they normally want you about 6 months out. So for example, like I want to get married in 2023. So if we like book something now and give them the date, you just do the math of 6 months out, and then that's how many more months before even that, how much you could have. So just put like $20 aside or something, and then eventually you'll be able to create, a small little budget. Yeah. So you don't have to be totally stressed out.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, with girls, it's about 200 to 300 is usually about the range there. Anyways, moving on. Another really big thing that day of coordinators do is talking with your vendors for arrival and setup instructions and everything in between. So what we do with our particular package is about 30 days out from your wedding, we will go ahead and talk with you about everybody you've booked leading up to now. We'll go ahead and take all their information, phone numbers, emails, etc. And then we'll kind of talk with them and make sure that the rough timeline that you had presented us adds up first and foremost. So, if you're starting hair and makeup at 11, we want to make sure that the photographer is not arriving at 1 if you want to get those shots. We need to make sure everything lines up perfectly. And then we're going to reach out to your vendors and make sure that they have the same time. They know exactly where to be. They have all the addresses. They know exactly, the different places we'll be going throughout the day. If you want to stop at a park to get family formals, if you have changed anything, if anything's adjusted last minute, we will go ahead and let them know those things, especially leading up. So, a lot of times that last month, while it should be not stressful, can be very stressful, especially if things start moving around, adjustments have to be made. So it can be really helpful if you have somebody else there that can kind of help you delegate those tasks and make sure that everybody is 100% up to date on arrival times. And then we also, on the day of, will make sure that we know where each individual vendor is supposed to be located, what their particular tasks are, and then we'll make sure that they're doing each of those tasks, setting up in the right place, have all the information up to date as well on that day. So that can be really helpful. While you're off in hair and makeup, we're making sure that the DJ is setting up right in the right place. He knows what's going on. It just kind of takes a load off your shoulders. The last note that I have here is that obviously they make sure every single emergency is handled. So again, we're going to keep saying this. We're Weddings Made Perfect podcast. Your wedding is never going to be perfect. There's always going to be something. So whether it be somebody rips their pants, somebody falls and has a cut, somebody, a vendor doesn't have a cord they need.
Forgot to book Cold Stone.
You got me. Don't forget to book Cold Stone if you want Cold Stone.
Please. And please sponsor us, Cold Stone.
On the day of, it's going to be too late to book Cold Stone. I think you have to book them several days in advance. But
you can do individual cakes.
Maybe. You need a freezer, which is also something we'd think about. See, that's the mind.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Check the Cold Stone.
I particularly have an emergency bag. I've got a Tide stick for stains. I've got a sewing kit for rips. I've got bandages, first aid kit. I've got Tylenol. I've got tampons. I've got your makeup. I've got an extra pair of shoes. All these things that you might not think about to grab as you're leaving your house that morning. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, your day of coordinator should have on them. And if not, they are the one that can be able to leave and go get those things, take care of that, run to Walmart to get that cable the DJ needs. All those things will be there to help you out with.
Not only that, but I've seen a lot of wedding party just having emergency kit that they created too, which is getting very trendy as well, where it's I've seen just a small little booklet thing, and then I've also seen a huge bucket of just everything you could think of, from all the necessities, mm-hmm. and then also at the same time even mint and gum and just mm-hmm. snacks and just stuff like that it's just so smart to have, because I just got done shooting a wedding last weekend, which was my first wedding in months. I mean, because I'm trying to stay away from shooting as much anymore, but I finally shot one last weekend, and the day went well, but it was my first time realizing oh, this is what I used to do, and I haven't done it in a while. I used to have a pack of waters and just waters and snacks and stuff like that, and I didn't do that this time, and because I'm just so out of the loop now, and so I'm shooting, and it's we start around 9, it gets around 3 or 4 o'clock, and we're still going, and of course St. Louis heat and humidity mm-hmm. and stuff like that, and we're in Forest Park doing our thing, and then I'm just man, I'm super hot. Water sounds amazing right now. We didn't have any water. I didn't have any snacks and stuff like that. I'm getting super hungry, and we're not going to be eating until 7:30 or 8. Mm-hmm. And it was just one of those moments. I'm just I felt out of the loop. Underprepared. So don't be a tie. Be prepared. Bring some snacks. Bring some water. I guess I know beer and all that good stuff, but also stay hydrated. Yeah. I mean, even if you are doing fall and winter, weddings, and it's not going to be as hot, but you're still going to need to be hydrated. You're still absolutely going through the whole day, because you're going to be with the wedding party. So make sure if you're not booking any little sandwiches or some sort of catering small things on the bus or whatever, make sure you're at least bringing some sort of snacks or cookies or crackers or something. Charcuterie board for the party bus for the win.
I love a good charcuterie board.
The adult version of Lunchables. Come on. We went from Lunchables to that. I saw a meme about that where it was just like we went from like 90s kids went from this to this. I'm just like, that's so valid. Like we went from Lunchables and then we were just upgraded to charcuterie boards.
Yeah. Unfortunately, charcuterie boards are far more expensive.
Yeah, exactly. They're not $1.15 anymore.
So I would now like to touch on what I did for this disaster wedding that was not a day of responsibility. So just to give a little background, I wouldn't say personally, of course, this is going to sound ridiculous, but I wouldn't say that the disaster wedding was my fault, even though I was a coordinator. So I could see how maybe it was my fault. But this particular bride, she could not release the reins of control. So that was already going to be a downfall. But also, she had planned far more into her day than A, was necessary, or B, than she had time for. Even though I was presented with about 7 pages of information, timelines, it looked very coordinated. It looked like we were all ready to go, but that was kind of a facade, I guess, more than anything. And I spent the day running around like a madwoman, adjusting every little piece of item or situation that was incorrect. One thing I did also do was handle 5 dogs, 5 large dogs, one of which puked in a crate that I had to clean up. That is not a day of coordinator responsibility. I just like to put that in there right now. You could ask your day of coordinator if they'd be willing to do it. But if you're a day of coordinator, I would highly suggest saying no. I suppose I did say yes, so that's on me.
Also, you started, just to kind of like backtrack, you started, 3 or 4 hours early before you actually were supposed to start?
Yes.
So, I mean, like already, like, in my perspective, to kind of I'm not like trying to be biased or to defend any like buddy or any parties or whatsoever, but there was things that Gabby was doing that did not represented what she was mainly there for. She was mainly just there to make sure that things were running smoothly, making sure, like, once again, like we said, making sure things are starting on time, making sure that things are happening the proper time and stuff like that. But it wasn't like that. It was, she was stuck was doing, certain things, like, for example, treating the dogs or setting up all their tables again, or moving a candle because the candle wasn't in the proper spot, or moving this because it wasn't the way that she thought she wanted, and stuff like that. And also, to kind of backtrack once again, everything was already done before we even showed up because it was a different location wedding. So how it was done and set up, we didn't even set anything up. It was already set up previous the night before. And then once we did show up, I don't know why, but the bride assumed that we did it. We didn't, because they did it last night. So it was kind of one of those things of like, it was a weird misunderstanding, and like, I don't know why it was like that, but it was. And then also, there was things that I even did as a videographer, because I was a part of it, that I'd never done before. Like, I was helping out, putting things out, and then we were helping out, giving out the keepsakes and stuff like that, and I took time putting my camera down and stuff like that. Like, don't get me wrong, like, I will help you guys out. Like, if you guys ask, going like, hey, we need help with whatever, like, that's fine. But like, they came to us thinking that we're obligated to do that because we were working that day. I'm sorry, but if you hire me as a cinematographer, I'm there to just shoot your wedding. Mm-hmm. I'm not there to help. Like,
I made waffles, which also not a day of coordinator responsibility.
So yeah, it's just we just to kind of like backtrack. We're not trying to diss or whatever the person, but there's a fine line of things that happen, and one of the things is like, she was kind of crossing the line for certain things, and she is a person that works in the industry, so she thought that she knew everything, and that's the problem is like she wasn't able to let go of certain things because she is actually in the industry. But my problem is if you are in the industry and if you want to do that, you are not asked for people to like do certain things. You would just do it on your own, or making sure that like it just ran on your own by yourself. So I don't know. It was really weird.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it crossed the line of being respectful to not respectful. But anyways, this is a warning to any past bride that thinks, well, I planned my wedding, so I think I can be a coordinator now. That's great. If that's how you feel, if you really think that you're just built for this, that's like kudos. But one thing you have to understand is if you cannot man up and stand up for yourself, if you can't tell somebody that you feel like you're being disrespected, or if a guest is going to get unruly, or a fight might break out, believe it or not, it happens. If you can't step in and fend for yourself and be assertive. That's the word I'm looking for. If you can't be assertive and stand up for yourself and tell somebody no when you have to tell somebody no, don't do it. Just don't. That's all there is to that.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's, like I said, there's a line of being professional and like friends, and like if you're doing this for like a friend or something like that, like, yeah, you're best friends with that said person, but at the same time, though, they need somebody there to actually will take action on certain situations, because you never know what could happen on the day. And that we've seen it all. Yep. I've officially now seen it all. And I've seen blood family fighting each other, like fist fighting. So it's just like, it's one of those things where you don't know what's going to happen on the day, because you got to understand is like the environment of drinking and just whatever happening, and just stress. And over, sensory overload with like different Pinterest ideas or like whatever. Like, you just got to understand that like you should have a minimum of certain things and try to not make it so extreme and so measurable. Because I get it, there's a lot of trendy things out there, and I understand that Pinterest is the best thing in the world, but you don't have to have every single thing on your Pinterest board. Like, you could get, like, if you have a Pinterest board, just get like 2 or 3 that are corresponding together and just do that. You don't have to do every single thing on there. Those are just ideas. Those are just subjects on like what you want, but you don't need it all.
Yeah.
And every single time you add something onto a timeline, or adding a different detail, or adding something on your day, it's going to add more time, more people that they have to like worry about that certain situation, making sure that it runs well. And it's going to be very stressful at the end of the day if you don't hire the amount of people that are needed for that. Mm-hmm. So that's just my input on
100%. Moving on, we are now going to go into the definition of what a partial/full planner does. So again, that word planner, this is going to be a person that's either going to hold your hand from the start of your engagement all the way to the end, or kind of come in the middle there, or delegate just a few tasks leading up to it. So first tip here. A partial full planner is going to help you with a venue selection. So this is probably one of the biggest choices that you're going to make for your wedding. You guys, I know, have asked for some help selecting a venue, so that's what we'll be moving on to next with Ty and Sarah.
Yeah, and it's more the factor of like, so yes, I've been a part of the wedding industry for so long, but it's more the factor of there's some situations that we're very untraditional people. So we are we have a certain style of what we want, but the only problem is because of some family members' situations and just age and restrictions of traveling, we have to do it minimum in the Midwest region. So like, we were, of course, in St. Louis, so we have like a Missouri option, Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, like kind of that general area. But the only problem is we're trying to figure out how to do like a certain style with Midwest vibes, with like trying to expand, like not having to go where the actual places where we need to go. So that's why we're doing it untraditionally of like, we have an actual set date of like our main date that we want to get married, which we'll go do our own like elopement with our like family members, like our intermediate family members. But then on an actual day, we'll have like a ceremony and reception for everybody in like the Midwest that's kind of corresponding to where we went. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
yes. So he actually touched on another thing. So the partial full planner, they're going to also help you kind of pick out a theme. So, if you want to go for a rustic look, if you want to go for the modern look, if you love ponds, if you love sunsets, these are actually themes. So, like, if you are really loving sunsets, there is going to be a venue out there that's going to have the best sunset around, and they can help you find that. So, I would suggest, like they have done, really picking out your theme and even maybe your colors that correspond with that before you pick a venue, because there are tons of beautiful venues out there, but they all have different styles. They're elegant, they're modern, they're rustic. And I mean, if you put a bunch of modern things into a barn, it's still not going to come out looking modern. I'm sorry. It's not.
That's the problem I had with, I forgot what the place is called, but there's a llama farm here.
Mason Duluck.
Yeah, sure. Like, I enjoy that place. Don't get me wrong. Like, if you guys are watching, I love your guys' venue. It's beautiful. I've been there before. It's great. But my problem that I have is exactly what she's asking. It's their bridal suites and groom, like, hangout morning session meeting is very, like, country, rustic, barnish look. And then where their ceremonies, where they have options, once again, it's very barn, rustic-like theme. But when you step into the actual reception side of it, it's very modern and like elegant and contemporary. And don't get me wrong, like it's fine, but you have two different themes going on, and it throws off, for at least me, for the video side, it throws off kind of the cohesiveness of like what theme is happening. And still a beautiful place and I love it, but it's just very like, it threw me off because I walked in and I'm just like, oh, I'm downtown, or oh, I'm somewhere like elegant, and it just threw me off. But to kind of say again, like kind of going further of like what Gabby was saying with the whole picking theme and color, stuff like that, that is crucial because, for example, we're kind of going from more like kind of darker greens and like those type of tones with like some like blacks and like those tones. I can't do a place downtown or on a beach or something with green tones and stuff. Like it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't correspond. I can't even do like,
you wouldn't go to a ballroom and put a bunch of dark
like
greens in
Winters on Washington or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I have to pick something that's more of a forest place, and that's why I'm saying like it's hard kind of to find a place in the Midwest that's like kind of more of a foresty feel. I mean, like my ideal place is like Arkansas and Colorado and stuff like that. Like those are great places, but everybody can't come down there, so I have to find places, and that's why I said Wisconsin might be a place because of the taller trees and more foresty and stuff like that, because you're going further up north. So you got to think your location of how does it fit. Like, yes, it's easy to do like in a ballroom. You could like throw some beach vibes to it and stuff like that because it kind of weirdly fits. But if you have like an actual color stone of like, this is what I need, try to correspond it with a place that is kind of relevant of like what's happening.
Yeah. And it's really easy to start there too, branching off of that. And then also your partial and full planner can help you with this. But, if you send out your engagement notices, they can also match what your future theme is as well as your save the dates. If you send out a really rustic looking save the date and everybody shows up to the modern, elegant venue, I mean, it's really unbalanced. And that's something that a partial and full planner can help you with. If that's not your forte, don't worry. It's not everybody's forte, but they can help you balance everything out. And if you're like, hey, I'm thinking about getting this old barnwood arbor for my modern ceremony, your partial planner might go, oh, well, I love what you've picked. However, here are a couple options that I think might really balance well with the other colors that you have, because you're having your ceremony and your reception in the same location. And I don't think that that's really going to mesh well. And you might say, you look at all the things that you've put together here, that your partial full planner has put together in your book, and you kind of compare it and you're like, man, you're right. Like, thank you. That was probably not the best choice, but I really love this one that you picked. This is stuff that they really can help you with, and it can make it such a breeze if you are just like, this is not my thing. I don't want to even touch it. I don't want to do any of this. We can help you with that too. My first wedding was originally supposed to be a backyard ceremony. This quickly, and when I say quickly, 2 months before the wedding turned into a 2-day wedding. First was a prayer ceremony. The second day was a full-on wedding day. They didn't have much picked. They didn't have a couple locations chosen that they needed. They didn't have a theme going for the first day. So when I stepped in, I had to quickly throw this all together. Luckily, it came out spectacular. It was probably one of the prettiest. It was actually technically like a reception, but after a prayer ceremony kind of situation. But it turned out to be this really gorgeous location. Everything fell into place, and it all corresponded together and looked really great. So that was a real win for us. And this bride, she is like super busy. And so she was just like, I need help. Like, we have this budget here too, but I don't have the time to plan this. I need help with, getting caterers. I need food. I need someone to photograph, videographers, all this stuff. So that was when I kind of took over and really helped her plan everything out and coordinate it within her budget. So that's another tip there. They can help you as well stick with your budget. So hopefully, if you're going with a full-time planner, they should know the best way to stick within a budget. Be honest with them. Again, we always say keep 5%, 10% off for emergencies. If you're worried that your planner is not going to leave that margin, just leave that money aside. Save it in your savings account. Keep it out just in case anything goes wrong, any situations pop up. But hopefully they should be smart enough to be doing this for you already, and also trying to get you the best deals that they can. If they have partners in the business that they can get a little bit of a discount on because they're taking over, talking with, hey, Tyler, I need a videographer for the state. Their budget is really just this $800. Is there anything you can do for me? How many hours can you give me? What can you give me? They might work with them a little bit because they have those partners in the business. So that can be really helpful as well if you're on a tight budget and you really need somebody to help you kind of stretch that as thinly as possible. They could have some really great suggestions for you. Another thing that they do, obviously, is pretty much everything we noted with the day of coordinator. So they're going to be doing all those things as well, but just also be helping you with everything leading up to that particular month or months out. But it is really great to do a partial or full, even just partial if you already have a lot of things in mind, because they are really up to date on all the information of your vendors, every detail that you have. They'll even help you with your decorations too. So that's another, thing that Day of doesn't quite do. They might be able to, since they probably picked it all out or just helps you pick it all out, they're going to know exactly the kind of look you're looking for and say, hey, we said to put this garland on the table, but, I was thinking it might look really nice on your arbor before your ceremony. So let's go ahead and throw that on there. And then I can unwrap it real quick, throw it back on your table. And you might say, oh my gosh, yeah, like I didn't even think about that. That looks amazing. So they can, again, be there for everything leading up, and they'll be so up to date on all your information, everything you've got going so far. And they're going to be a little more pricey. Sorry, you can't get things for free. That's not how it works. Their time and attention to you is hopefully should be 100% when you're together, but it's not an easy job. People say this all the time. Wedding planning is not easy, and their time is worth what they're charging. I can tell you right now, unless it's something absolutely insane, I can tell you their time, their energy, the work they're putting in, the phone calls they're making out for you, it's worth every penny you're giving them. I promise. So, do you think you need a coordinator? Ty, what is a coordinator again?
Coordinators, come on now. No, I'm just playing. So literally coordinators are people that are there for you of the day of, honestly, isn't it? So it's just a day of the stuff of like lining up your guests, making sure that everything is rolling, perfectly, or at least somewhat perfectly on the timeline, making sure that things are rolling at the same time. So, for example, ceremonies at 2:00, they're definitely there making sure that things are getting done in line, ready to go for the timeline, all that good stuff. Limited phone calls and emails, I think, or
unlimited phone calls and emails, limited in-person help.
Gotcha. So that's the one thing that I'm not fully, like, I don't know. It's just, that's just.
You confused, Sarah?
I'm so confused on, like, no, I heard what you said, but it's just, to me, it's just, I'm still digesting the factor of like a coordinator and a planner is just two different people.
Yeah.
And it's mind boggling for me because like throughout this whole podcast, I'm still like, oh, this is very interesting. And like, I knew of them and I've always had issues with like coordinators throughout the day. But it's hard because even some coordinators don't know that they are either or, because I've had coordinators say to their planners on the day of. So I'm just like,
I'm not sure that they always know. But
that's
like
why
an easy way to put it is if you think about it. So coordinator coordinates things already planned. A planner plans.
No, and that makes complete sense because like I have issues with people that think there's not a difference between a videographer and a cinematographer, but there are two different reasonings for that. And then I have to go and describe like what a videographer is and what a cinematographer is. So it's the same thing with this. Like it's a coordinator and a planner, and of course, a planner is definitely like plan things out before of it, helping you out like your themes, checking it out like what you may want color-wise, or like helping you out with your budget or like venues and trying to making sure that you're booking certain things and kind of helping you out, guiding you through the planning process. And then the coordinating part is, of course, figuring out, or the coordinating part is literally there for you, making sure that everything is going in order, in line, and everything is going smoothly of the actual day, minus some setups of like doing the minor shit like setting up candles or getting stuck with dealing with 5,000 dogs or
I'll
whatever.
light your candles all day, but putting out 3,000 tea light candles, that's not a coordinator's responsibility.
So that makes complete sense. So
perfect.
Yeah.
So if you were a bride or a groom and you're wondering, man, do I need a coordinator? Just remember that a coordinator is going to keep you on schedule so that you don't have to worry about that. Your mom doesn't have to worry about that. Your sister doesn't have to worry about that. Like taking care of those little details, such as putting out the, those pieces that you need at your reception, your guest book, taking all of your presents back to your car, keeping all of your gift cards and cash money envelopes safe. They're going to do those things too. Making sure that your vendors arrive and set up in the right place, putting out those little items again, or packing up those little items again, and communication throughout the night. Another tip there is just being able to say, like, for instance, with my first wedding, we were actually a little ahead of schedule at one point, which is crazy. I was speaking between the caterer and between the DJ, telling them, hey guys, we had this cocktail hour to run for an hour, but we're just a little kind of ahead of schedule and we're feeling like maybe dinner should start about 15 minutes early. So I was the one to kind of run to the kitchen, ask them if that would be okay. Catering, can we do 15 minutes early? Perfect. That's an A-okay. So then I run to the DJ, who's going to announce to everybody that dinner's starting in 15 minutes. Please find your seats so everybody can get seated. We can get cocktails dealed out real quick to everybody. And then they know to start releasing those tables. And then the toasts and speeches are going to start a little early. It's all those little things that, for the moment, you don't have that silence throughout the reception area because somebody's already communicated to not need that silence. You know what I mean? Like if we also had one brother stand up to make a toast that wasn't on the schedule to make a toast. That's fine. Luckily, I knew his name, and I ran up to the DJ. He tried to jump in front of somebody who was supposed to speak, so she started speaking first, and then he had sat down, and I ran up to the DJ, and I said, hey, this guy, his name is Joe. He's going to be next. This is the brother of the groom. He wants to speak. Okay, perfect. So there wasn't that weird, awkward silence where Joe stands up, hey, can I say some words now? And we have to take the mic over. You know, we just skipped all that. It was super easy, and we had that easy communication, something the bride didn't have to worry about. So those are things to think about if you are on the fence about whether or not to book a day of coordinator. I think that's it. Do you have any questions?
Do I have questions?
Yeah.
I mean...
Are you guys thinking about having a day of coordinator?
Probably. It's... Yes and no. I mean... It's one of those things where it just depends, personally. Right now, it makes sense to do it, but at the same time, though, just kind of knowing how personally timelines work for just my sakes of like knowing how it does run. And then also the factor of us doing a photo and video series like a month prior to the actual day, it's a more relaxed day as opposed to it. See, I'm not a good example because I'm not doing a traditional day. Mm-hmm. Like it's because we're doing most of it a month before. So a lot of things are going to be done prior to the actual wedding, and then the actual wedding or we're calling it the celebratory day where we're still doing like a ceremony, but even though like we've been married already, it's just kind of doing it again in front of our family and friends. It's just going to be more a relaxed place. Mm-hmm. It's going to be all in single locations. We're not going to really doing much stuff like that. We're not doing the whole mobile shoot thing because once again, we just got done doing photos and videos a month ago. So It's just like...
Well, and you're also surrounded by a bunch of people in the industry that can take 2 seconds to say, hey, Ty, you guys ready?
Yeah. So
hey,
it's
ladies, you ready? Let's get it going.
So it's just one of those things where it's like we're tackling out all the stuff that you needed a coordinator for, and that's what I want to express. I guess that'll be a good idea just to kind of like run through this real quickly is... Like on a normal day, you're going to have so many different like events that are happening, mm-hmm. like moving to different locations and getting photos and videos done or getting ready for certain places or, whatever. Just like that whole like timeline of having all these people and stuff and then trying to balance all that stuff out and just everything going on. That needs a coordinator.
Yep.
For us, it's kind of... I feel like it may not happen because it's like most of the stuff is going to be already done. So there's what is there really to coordinate?
Yeah.
Except for like making sure the ceremony is running on time or the reception, which honestly, it's pretty much ceremony, cocktail, reception, part beginning, and then calling it like just partying after that. Like, that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
So planning, yes, we definitely want a planner, especially with my schedule, with me just constantly busy and stuff. I just need somebody just kind of getting the things going. The actual planning of it, it's weird because it's like we know what we want, we know everything that is needed. We know the style, we know the themes, we know the colors, we know all of our vendors that we want to have. We have all of the things compared and like ready to go. It's just a factor of booking things and just keeping everything organized. Mm-hmm. That's our problem.
Yeah.
Our problem is just having somebody just doing the grind. Because like I'm super busy, and like for her, like she's not really busy, but I don't want to give her the stress on having to worry about that. I want her to just enjoy it as well. So definitely a planner I think would be more beneficial for us than an actual coordinator.
Yeah.
So
to each their own.
Yeah, but it's definitely for me like as like a creative person or even just anybody that like is looking for a planner, I definitely advise you to get a planner, because it's pretty much what's going to happen is, for example, how I'm going to do it is I am already creating a account that has a certain, amount of money that I'm putting in for the wedding. And then once I fully get to a certain number that I have, I'm literally just going to give it to Gabby and go, here's my budget. Here's the list of people that I need you to book. Can you just do it for me? Because it's just going to be a lot easier to do that as opposed to
the number of emails.
So it's
my God.
It's just one of those things where it's like, I don't like, it's the factor of just doing it on your own or like finding someone to do it. And to me, as somebody that knows what I need, it's just, I could literally do it on my own, which is fine. But like, for example, the past 2 days, I haven't really slept because I've been editing videos. So like from on Monday, I was up and I started around like 8 p.m. I didn't get done until 5 o'clock in the morning. And then I slept until like noon. And then I was up and running, doing other things. Like I was shooting and stuff like that. So like my schedule is so tight where I just need somebody just to do it.
Yeah.
So
no, especially that last month where all those final consultations have to be made with each individual vendor, talking about the timeline over and over and over again, all the questions they have. It's time consuming.
So to wrap up, unless you...
No, that's it. Cool. I can't talk about it anymore.
Cool. So, seriously, thank you so much for that. And now I fully kind of know, because it's just insane to me, just like there's two different things, and I love it. But just to recap, because I feel bad that I haven't fully explained the difference, which I have, but like I want to make sure that people know that I know. I'm to kind of like saving my grace of like, I do understand what it is.
He learned a few things today.
It's just mind-boggling to me still that it's just two different things, and I'm just like, it's just astonishing. But anyways, guys, coordinator, day of stuff, just making sure that everything's all happening at the right time, making sure that things are rolling well, making sure that everything is trying to be on time. Very minimum, like minor things of like getting things like decorations and stuff. I couldn't think of that word. Like doing decorations, stuff like that. Like minor stuff. Not the whole thing, but just minor tweaks here and there, maybe. But don't focus on that as much. And then planners, of course, are pre-wedding situations of like helping you book, helping you with themes and colors and budgets and all that good stuff. So if you guys are looking for one, Gabby is an amazing person. I mean, not to be biased or whatever, but I mean, she's doing my wedding, helping me out plan it. And it's going to be super awesome. I mean, like I said, I'm probably going to be the easiest person to work with because I already have everything all done and laid out. It's just a factor of booking it.
No, they make me nervous.
Do I really?
No, I'm just nervous.
Why are you nervous?
I don't know. Because I know you guys and I'm going to want it to be perfect. And again, we all know it's not going to be perfect.
It's not going to be perfect. And but we already know that though. Like we're very relaxed people.
I know.
And like the only thing that I'm like very uptight about is videos, so I could care.
Yeah, I won't touch that.
I don't even.
That's not me.
like I said, like we have literally identically of like what we want for the tables and stuff, and like everything like that. It's just literally just the factor of ordering stuff from Amazon or buying things or renting things out or whatever it is. That's the whole planning side that we're focusing on. So, which will give you guys more in depth on it.
Yeah.
Next week, we will do a podcast. Sadly, our event is tomorrow, which is the August 19th open house. So we can't give you really much of an update until next week about that, how that went.
Yeah.
I can't even say come check us out because by the time you guys watch this episode, it's already happened. And so...
Yeah, but we're really excited.
There's not really much to talk about that, but I was telling her I'm very excited about it.
We hope you guys came out.
hopefully you guys
Hopefully we saw you and had a good time.
And you guys are watching this and going, I am so glad we came and checked this out. So I'll be there doing, of course, live feed and stuff. So if you guys watch that video, hopefully you guys did. That'd be awesome. It's kind of weird talking in the future because I know it's happening tomorrow, but it hasn't happened yet. But it has happened after this point. Weird. It's
time travelers.
It's like Inception.
Wow. No.
But I do know it starts at 3:00. So and it ends at 7.
And he's going to show up at 3:30.
And I'm going to show up at 2:45, almost 3, maybe 3:00. We'll see how that goes. But once again, guys, thank you so much for the awesome and tremendous support. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, all that good stuff. We also want feedback. Tell us how we are doing review-wise on our Facebook or Instagram or even on YouTube. Tell us that, we're doing great or we're doing shitty.
Yeah.
Just let us know.
Tell us we suck.
We want to have feedback. We want to see what works, what doesn't work. Somebody did tell us one time, like a long time ago, that we should probably look at the camera. So guess what? We're now looking at the camera. So that's one little feedback that we got. And we're actually, we're doing it. Like, I'm sorry that you guys didn't like my profile. I guess. But yes, guys, thank you so much for everything. Email us at weddingsmadeperfectpodcast@gmail.com, or you can just comment on this video or find us on Facebook or Instagram. But once again, guys, my name is Ty.
And I have Gabby
here with me, and we are signing out.